Hello and welcome to the Music Shack Podcast. This is episode number 60. This week you're joined by myself, Bruce.
Ron.
And Ed.
Alright, let's jump right on into it.
Well, we'll start with the shortest.
Oh god, I don't
Who
know
had the
which one
shortest album?
Bruce.
Probably me.
Alright.
Yeah, it looks like me. So I brought along the album Deceiver by Cannabis.
6 songs of good instrumentals.
Mhm.
Yes.
Shortest song is 5 minutes and 13 seconds.
Yeah, the rest are 7.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very, very short songs on each.
That's why I was surprised when you said mine was the shortest, because I was like, what? This was a long playtime.
Yeah.
Yeah, long play time.
41 minutes for
I
6
forgot
songs.
how little songs it had on there.
Yeah.
Oh, good though.
Yes.
I preferred the instrumentals more than I did like the lyrics, but the vocals themselves were good.
Mm-hmm.
I got a lot of core vibes, but also thrash at points. But it also seemed to have like a simpler structure for like how the riffs were. Because like I had core elements and had thrash elements, but the way everything was structured and played, it sounded more. I don't want to say hardcore because I know that's not it, but it was like akin to that. I feel. Because like it felt like almost you could have just chugged throughout the whole thing.
Based on just what I'm reading here on one of the articles written on them, it says they're a doom metal band.
Okay, that would be what it is then. That would be what I heard.
This is also the first I've ever heard of the genre, so...
Typically, this is not what doom metal sounds like, but I like this because doom metal is a lot of droning chords,
Okay.
usually at a slower tempo. This was not that. This had more of a core thrash tempo to it, with that droning aspect of the riffs, which is why I felt like it was a hardcore almost kind of punch, but it wasn't.
I could see that.
Yeah, overall, I thought it was pretty solid. I definitely was not expecting harsh vocals to come out of this either. I was expecting all cleans, but yeah, I was pleased.
Yeah.
It's just when you have 7-minute songs, it's kind of like, all right, when does it stop?
Mm-hmm.
Which I guess is the power metal aspect, or influence, I should say, where it's just like, oh, it's these mini epics that are just 7-8 minute song, and it's like, all right, that's cool and all, but when's the next one?
Mm-hmm.
That's just me.
Because it's always nice to have a really long song, but then you have to have enough progression in there where it's just not repeating the same thing over and over again.
Right.
I mean, sometimes you can have those long songs just for the playtime, but when you have one that goes through an entire story and progresses through an entire, like, complete shift throughout the entire song, those are great.
Well, that's what I liked about Exist from Avenged Sevenfold on the stage. It's the last song on the record, and it's a 15-minute song.
Ooh.
It's purely instrumental, minus, like, sampling of a speech from, I think, I think it's a Buzz Aldrin speech, but I don't know for sure. That's kind of about it. Like, those are the only vocals, I guess you could say, on the song. Otherwise, it's completely instrumentals for 15 minutes straight. But it's also Brooks Wackerman, so it's like, it's good. He plays the drums in that one, and it's phenomenal. And then you have Sinister Gates on guitar, and you have, I think it's Johnny Christ on bass, and it's just good. It's one of those ones where it's like, it's progressive metal mixed with the thrash metal core aspect that A7X can bring for 15 minutes. That's it. So, but that's another example of, like, there's enough variety in it that, like, and there's a story that it's telling, that it makes sense, and I can actually deal with it.
Yes.
While we're in the metal genre, we can move to mine.
All right.
Yeah.
which was the new Volumes record, Happier.
Yes.
This is groove. This is straight up groove and bass, and
I love the bass.
I figured you would.
It was wonderful.
Bend, I think, was my standout from this album.
I think Get Enough was mine.
Yeah, it was good too. I mean, it's a solid album.
Oh yeah, the whole
Mhm.
thing is phenomenal.
I think See You Again was good too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think there's I don't really think there's a skip on here,
No, there's not a bad song on this.
because like it starts with FBX and just that the vibe that you get from it just carries through the whole thing, and then you have the energy behind the groove carrying you from song to song, and it makes for a good experience, I feel.
And the bass lines were beautiful.
Yes.
Bit of a bass head if you don't know.
It's one of the few times in metal you can actually hear bass nowadays.
Mhm.
And it was a welcome. It was a
Test.
nah, it's my mic.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's always that.
Yeah, it was it's one of the few times where you can actually hear the bass, you know, in a metal song. And it's just fucking phenomenal.
An actual bass, not like a
Yes.
plug-in.
I miss hearing actual bass on music. Though I listen to a lot of electronic music.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I'm not one to bitch and moan and complain. I have no not allowed to say anything.
It is the weird balance, though, because as much as you can love bass, sometimes it hurts to have too much.
I say there's a thing
Yes.
that's too much bass.
There is such thing as too much bass.
But
Okay.
when someone executes it perfectly in a song, whew,
Oh, absolutely. Because it usually
Yes.
the bass and the drums are usually what carry you through the rhythm, and keep everybody in time with each other.
Yeah.
Figure out
well,
where you're at in the song.
the kick is supposed to be the time signature. For most bands go off that. You do got some bands that more or less go from the rhythm that the drummer goes through, but the drummer sets the tone, and pretty much everybody else is there to follow. That's generally how you structure music. But yeah, the bassist is there to keep the rhythm. And if you have a rhythm guitarist, he's also there to keep the rhythm.
Yeah, which is what a lot of people or a lot of groups replace a bass with now.
Yeah, the lead is there to kind of dance around the rhythm in like higher registers,
Mm-hmm.
but still playing in tune with everybody. And the singer's there just to make noises.
I mean, technically, they're all there to make noises.
Prove it.
What do you think a guitar strum is?
Well, that's noise,
Right.
and the drum is noise,
Right.
but the bass is beauty. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I have too much more to say about this.
I don't think so either.
All right.
And I do have an honorable mention, but I'll wait till we get all the feature stuff out of the way.
All right.
So that brings us to Ed.
Yes. I've recommended Rez's Spiral. Fucking, I enjoyed this.
First three songs are phenomenal.
Yes.
The rest of it's good,
Yes.
but it doesn't hit the same caliber. I don't think.
No, it doesn't.
Except Taste of You. I feel
Taste
is
of
like
You,
the
yeah.
only other one that follows up really well,
Yeah.
which gets lost in the whole middle of it.
Yeah. One of the things I love about Chemical Bound is like there's a mix of modern electronic music and drill.
Yep.
Like you hear the 808 wooing during the, normal things you would hear in an electronic song. I fucking loved it. Let Me In was great. Levitate I really enjoyed. Sacrificial I enjoyed off of this. And Taste of You.
I like the intro a lot. Like it's not even like a hooky intro, but it draws you in the way where it's like, okay, this is interesting. Where is it gonna go? Not that it's catchy.
Yeah, the intro is actually a song. It's Chemical Bound.
Right, but like there's the intro piece of that.
Gotcha.
In that lower register of like it of the beginning drop, and it's like, okay, where is it gonna go? Not necessarily that it's actually catching. So I thought that was nice too, because a lot of times with electronic, you have a drop and a hook that are meant to be catchy, instead of being, an actual drop that's supposed to like be interesting in a sense that it's like, okay, this was cool. Where's it going afterward? Kind of like how a breakdown lead up is a thing.
Yes. And I love that because like the entire time you're on edge and you're like, what's this gonna sound like?
Right.
One of my favorite things is when you're listening to a metal song and they're going at this 1 BPM and you feel it building up and you know a breakdown's coming,
Mm-hmm.
and the breakdown's at a different BPM, either slower or faster. If it's slow, I want to hear the lead singer throw in some gutturals, make it even more brutal. But
Or they drop back and make it full-on German folk metal.
we butter the bread with butter.
and then it hits you with an actual breakdown where
Yeah.
it's completely slowed to like however many BPM.
I also really enjoy when electronic music has a build that's in a different genre than the drop.
Yep.
Like
Mhm.
I love when that happens. Which is probably why I listen to a lot of bass house. Because
Alright.
that goes everywhere.
I think it's why I like the One Monster remix. Because it's
It's been a while since I listened to the genre, but I think dubstep still does that kind of stuff, where it's just all over the place.
yeah.
Well, dubstep's all over the place. I was talking about just how bass house just genre hops.
Mm.
Like they'll have a drop that's dubstep, and then they'll go back to whatever the feeling and the vibe was of the build. They'll build up again, and then they'll give you like a drop from like trap or something else.
I see what you're saying now.
Like it's a total curveball. You're like, oh, here we go. It's a build. It's a build. What's about to happen? Oh, this is what's happening.
Yeah, and it's like, are we gonna continue it after, or are we gonna, restart?
Yeah.
So it's always interesting how artists can make it fit
Yeah.
when
I
it's so different.
I forget what song it was and who it was by, but I heard this one bass house song, and it had 3 different drops, and all 3 drops were of a different genre. Like it was,
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
it was a trip. Like it was an absolute journey to listen to, and unfortunately, I was disappointed in the 3rd drop because the first 2 drops were phenomenal. So you're like, dude. After you hear the 2nd drop, you're used to, the falling action. And instead, I'm like, I hear a build here. Are they going to end this on a build? And it drops. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be ridiculous. And I was like, oh. Like, how do you have 2 amazing drops and end it on this? It's still a drop, though. Because, like, after the drop, you still got, like, the normal falling action. And I'm like...
Like you could have just skipped right to that instead.
Yeah.
Like you could have done a build up and then gone to the falling action.
You could have left it at a 3-minute song. You didn't need that extra minute. But hey, they tried, and you
That's
gotta
what
mix it
counts.
up from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of having 2 drops, they wanted to go for 3, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
The other record that I went through that I forgot was coming out was Scion with Self-Titled. It's literally called Self-Titled
Yeah,
for anybody that might be confused.
I forgot to look into this.
It's the Jared Dines Howard Jones collab.
Yes.
It's 2010s metalcore. It's
Damn
like
it.
that Kill Switch era. It's very Kill Switch.
God. Ah.
So it's good. I didn't want to get. I almost gave this, but I was like, as I went through it, I'm like, okay, I get what they're doing, and it's good, but it feels dated, and it's not the hypest thing I've heard. That's why I gave you guys volumes instead. I found that to be more entertaining and more interesting to break apart instead of this. I love Howard Jones. His voice is amazing, and Jared Dines can play his ass off on a guitar. So props to them for doing this, but at the same time, I was like, maybe not do this one, because there's not much to really take away from it. So, yeah, I mean, it's 12 songs. It's almost an hour. It's 45 minutes, so it's good. Definitely think the singles are pretty much the standouts off of it. But there's no skippable to me on it either. So, and the Varsity record that I said that came out didn't come out. That comes out in January now. So, that will be listened to when it fully drops.
Gotcha. Oh, shit. There's an album I went through.
I also went through Obscura.
Sorry to hear.
And it was good, but it was not what I wanted to give.
Gotcha.
And I think it mainly just would have been the vocals to everybody again. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that for like the third time in a row. I'm not going to torture you guys with that. But I enjoyed it. So there's that.
So, what is it? Jana dropped Hope and Chaos. Just a solid 12-song electronic album. Her vocals are beautiful for every song, and all the production on it's phenomenal, so it's definitely worth checking out. I think Ghost and Sins are my two standouts from this. But yeah.
Yeah, the Obscura record was a lot of instrumental work. A lot of, if I remember correctly, it's a lot of thrash inspiration, which I thought was pretty cool. But but on metalcore structure, in a way. So that was actually pretty cool. But when there were vocals, I found them enjoyable. But from what it was, like the tonality of it, I didn't think it was gonna be all that great between the two of you. And I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to do that again. It's a 52-minute record with 11 songs. So there's a couple like 5-6 minute songs on there. I was like, it's a little much. Bruce, did you have anything that we didn't cover?
At first I didn't, and then I just remembered TWRP dropped another album called New and Improved.
Ooh.
It's got 10 songs. They got a couple features on there. Good listen all the way through.
I mean, it's twerp. It's always a good listen.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shit. I'm forgetting too. Snoop Dogg dropped Algorithm.
All right, that did happen.
Yeah, it
Did you go
sounds
see that?
dated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Enjoyable, but dated. Yeah, it was nice. He had some songs with Method Man and Redman. Let's see if I can find the album.
I think the Mice and Men single that came out was Mosaic.
Gotcha.
It's either Mosaic or Pulling Teeth, and I think it was Mosaic, but I don't remember exactly which. And it's good. I'm excited for that record when it drops in February. If there's nothing else interesting at the time, that will probably be the one you guys get. But it will be listened through. They will have a listen through it regardless.
Gotcha. Yeah, what was it?
Pull up my upcoming list while we're waiting on you.
Yeah. Yeah, I unfortunately don't have any like real standouts off of it. Like I said, it feels very dated. It feels like 90s hip hop. Even though like he has some modern artists like Blast on it, Benny the Butcher. It's just it's kind of weird. Like It's definitely something when I was younger I'd enjoy, but when it's kind of like what you were saying about the Scion record, when something feels that dated, it's kind of weird to listen to as a brand new album. Like you feel like you should like know some of the words to the song.
I'm looking at this upcoming list, and In Flames just their 40th anniversary happened, I think, earlier in November, but it was like very recent this year, and I guess they're celebrating in one of the ways anyway, of just re-releasing everything in their discography. Because I'm looking at it, and I just see In Flames like 7 different times on here, with a bunch of re-releases. So there's that. But if we have nothing else,
I do got a what is it? There's another one that we didn't talk about. They Got Amnesia by French Montana. Fun album to listen to. One of my favorites off the album is FWMGAB. Fuck with me, get a bag. It's one of my favorites off the album. But yeah, it's a 21 song album. Just French Montana always has fun rap songs to like listen to, so yeah. I don't know what it is. The man always finds a beat that's fun by itself, and he puts good, normally light lyrics in it, and it works. He's not normally rapping about anything harsh or anything, so nothing that would drum up controversy. Just something you can put on at a party and not really worry
right.
about anyone going, "What did he say?"
I guess we can move. Keep this going.
So what would we be doing next? I forget.
I think we're moving on to our break.
Looking to start a podcast? Buzzsprout makes it really easy. Get your show listed on every major podcast platform with little hassle. You will join over 100,000 other podcasters already using Buzzsprout. You'll get a really good website with audio widgets you can use on other websites, tools to help you promote your show, detailed analytics, and more. Follow the link to get started. It'll let Buzzsprout know that we sent you. If you sign up for a paid plan, you'll get a $20 Amazon gift card, and you'll be directly supporting us here at Music Shag Pod. Buzzsprout, the easiest way to get a podcast out there.
All right, let's take a jump on into the billboards. See what's going on over there. We can start off with the Billboard Hot 100. As of November 27th, sitting at number 1 is All Too Well by Taylor Swift as a new entry. At number 2, we've got Easy on Me by Adele. At 3, we've got Stay by The Kid Laroi and Justin Bieber. At 4, we've got Industry Baby by Lil Nas X and Jack Harlow. At 5, we've got Smoking Out the Window by Silk Sonic. At 6, we got Bad Habits by Ed Sheeran. 7, we got Shivers by Ed Sheeran as well. At 8, we got Heat Waves by Glass Animals. At 9, we got Need to Know by Doja Cat. And at 10, we got Fancy Like by Walker Hayes.
That that song by Taylor Swift broke a I think 50-year record or something like that for being like the best-selling 10-minute song, and it's a re-recorded version of a 7-minute song she wrote.
Yep.
And I only know it was a re-recording of a 7-minute song she wrote because of Ron.
Yeah. Oh, I heard it on MMR because they were talking about it. Like, I think last week
Just
or
dropping
something.
sources left and right here.
Yeah. And they had the one of the people on there had mentioned that it was like a good lengthy song. Like there's like an extra 3 or so minutes added to it for whatever reason.
Gotcha.
And apparently she could have left it alone and not done that, but instead she did it and played the algorithm.
Why the fuck not?
So
Hey, play the game. You might as well win.
yeah.
Alright. So moving on to the Artist 100. Up to number 1 from 11th is Taylor Swift. Up to number 2 from 4th is Adele. Still at 3 is Ed Sheeran. Up to 19 from 4. Up to 4th from 19 is Bruno Mars. Still at 5th is Drake. Up 1 spot is Doja Cat at 6th. Up 2 spots to 7 is Luke Combs. Down 2 spots to 8th is The Weeknd. Up from 42 is Anderson .Paak. He's now 9th.
Okay.
I think Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak's placement has to do with Silk Sonic.
Probably.
It makes sense.
That was a phenomenal album. And a re-entry at number 10 is a group called Twice. And the only reason why I said a group called Twice is it for me it would sound at 10 is a re-entry Twice.
Yeah.
So there's no need for that explanation. You're welcome, listeners.
So looking at the Billboard 200, we have a new entry at number 1, which is Taylor Swift with Red, Taylor's version. New entry at number 2 from Silk Sonic with An Evening with Silk Sonic.
Woo!
New entry at number 3 is Twice with Formula of Love, which pushes Summer Walker down to 4 with Still Over It. Drake goes down to 5 with Certified Lover Boy. Morgan Wallen with the double album is at 6. Man, it's on the chart still. For 45 weeks. Somehow.
Yeah.
Ed Sheeran is at 7 with Equals. Jason Aldean is a new entry at number 8 with, I believe it's Macon. Kanye West went up to 9 with Donda.
Really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
He's been on the charts for 12 weeks, and last week he was at 13.
I think you mean the album. Yeah, the album's up from 19th. I think that has to do with the release of the track that he did with Andre 3000.
Possibly.
That I think is either included on that album or was done for that album, but not released with the album. I'm confused.
And then Doja Cat is down to 10 with Planet Her,
But yeah.
which has been on the charts for 21 weeks.
Yeah, the recently released track is Andre 3000, who's arguably one of the greatest rappers of all time. Definitely the greatest rapper to never release a single album, like an album by himself. But yeah, he always has phenomenal features, and the song he's featured on with Kanye West is no exception. So, but yeah. Alright, moving on.
Moving on. Do we want to look at news?
News! I got some Deftones news.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's the type of news that keeps us off Spotify. So, Deftones launched their own marijuana line called Deftones Cannabis Collection. So,
Oh,
yeah.
gotcha.
So, that's a thing. So they plan on rolling this out in California. And they're partnered with a cannabis brand called Golden Barn. So, which apparently produces CO2 extracted cannabis. And yeah. Yeah, the package is called the passenger box.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I got one here.
All right.
This was published on the 24th of November. The So when the Grammys happen for music, Machine Gun Kelly got 0 nominations for Tickets to My Downfall.
Really?
Yes. He got nothing. Not a single nomination. Mind you, this record, it came out September 25th, 2020. So it emerged in the eligibility period for the Grammys, for the 2022 Grammys. And it was on Billboard Music Award, for the Billboard Music Awards, he got top rock artist. So, and the record and some of its singles are platinum. And this man didn't get a single nomination
Damn.
for a Grammy. So he tweeted one question: what the fuck is wrong with the Grammys?
So, not to get political, but the Grammys is very political.
I know. But like, clearly we know that this man has released bangers of songs for this record and the record itself, and apparently it just got nothing, which is quite unfortunate. So it's very weird. So I have that. That's, Hayley Williams teases Paramore's return in 2022 as well, so Paramore fans can be excited.
Yeah, that's the thing that like really bothers me about like award shows. They don't give awards to the best. They give awards to who they
Whoever pays them more.
I don't know if it's who pays them more, but it there's definitely some form of politics involved. You know? It's not a good assessment of what was good the prior year. Award, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've loved albums that didn't get a single Grammy, you know, vote, not even an honorable mention from the Grammys. So I fail to see the Grammys as a proper measuring stick for for whether or not something was good. It's kind of why I don't watch award shows.
Yeah. It's like how Tool got Best Metal Album.
For a rock album.
Uh-huh.
And Tyler, the Creator, got Best rap album.
Even though it was a pop album.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't get it. But in other news, as of the 27th, there was an old gold disc of Blizzard of Oz. The original gold disc for Blizzard of Oz was finally returned to Ozzy Osbourne. Apparently, some dude found it. It says the year is 2010. The guy's name is Mark Sandwell. He was doing his rounds at record stores because he collects. He's a collector of this kind of stuff. So he goes around from store to store in market stalls, and he finds this gold disc of Blizzard of Oz, unbeknownst to him that it was stolen. He goes, I found it in a car boot sale on a table of random junk. It was still in the frame, but the glass was missing. He asked how much, and the guy said a tenner. So it didn't cross his mind, and it was actually an original. And he was used to finding all the cheap replicas. So thinking it was a replica, he kept it in a plastic bag in a spare room for a decade until he finally got it cleaned and reglazed. So when he posted it on Instagram, within 10 minutes, a music promoter that's a friend of his got in touch with him, and he said that it was a stolen disc, and that this promoter was a friend of Ozzy's current manager, like a friend of that person's daughter. And then they got in contact, and he ended up returning it. So apparently, whenever it got stolen, it was just missing, and all of a sudden this guy finds it in a car boot sale randomly. Holds on to it for 10 years and gets it returned. Or I guess finds it in 2010 and gets like it returned within that year or whatever. But just like apparently it was gone for the longest time.
Now that's some crazy shit.
So that's the shit people find.
Yeah, that is nuts.
System of a Down's Steal This album is 19 years old at this point as well.
In other news, Eminem drops a surprise merch line with official action figures.
What?
Featuring 3 collectible figurines and Mom's Spaghetti apparel.
Oh no. I now have to look this up. Because I'm curious.
It includes hoodies and t-shirts with the phrase Mom's Spaghetti and 3 different Eminem action figures.
That's funny.
One of them is modeled off his 2000 performance at Experience Music Project. These look very interesting.
That's funny. So we have each iteration of Eminem as an artist. We have Marshall Mathers, we have Slim Shady, and we have Eminem in each iteration of it. Which that's bizarre.
That's pretty interesting.
It's also got autographed versions of them. That's funny. Yeah, that's just bizarre. How much are these? I actually want to see how much these are. I'm curious. They're about $40 a piece, and they're actually sold out already. I don't know when these dropped, but they're sold out
It looks
immediately.
like they dropped last week.
They're already sold out.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Anyway.
How much are the autographed ones?
We good on those?
I think so.
I think so, but the autographed versions are about 300 a piece. 320,
Woo.
roughly. Those are also sold out. That's hilarious. We can move on. Do we want to close with intermittent or upcoming, or that we're gonna talk about?
We could go intermittent and then
Okay.
upcoming and then what we're going to talk about.
I was on a nightcore kick last night on my way home.
There we go.
So I did that. And then I've kind of just been in my regular, like, metalcore mood. So I haven't been to anywhere too special. But, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
Gotcha. Yeah, I just been listening to believe it or not some Sophie Tucker, Amaranth, and I had to go through J. Cole's The Off Season again.
Yeah.
Had to.
It's a good record.
It's weird. You put on 95 South and you can't turn off the album.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, well, gotta listen to it through.
Yep.
Because there's not a skippable.
No, you're doing it a disservice at that point.
You know, you're like, I'll turn it off after this song. Oh, shit. This song.
Wait a minute.
Hold on. I'll turn it off after this one. Oh, nope. And then you're like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll turn it off when the album's done.
It's like, I'll turn it off after this one. Oh, wait, that's the end of it.
Yeah, I'll turn it off after Hunger on the Hillside. Oh man.
It was a very good record.
Ah, yes, it was.
What about you, Bruce?
Uh,
Anywhere special?
a little bit of metal, a little bit of video game music, and then a overwhelmingly large chunk has been synthwave.
Okay.
Just all the different artists I listen to that, and just so many, it's so good.
Synth can be good. It just, I have to be in a specific mood for synth. Or if you just throw, if you and I are hanging out, you throw it on in the background.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, I don't really gravitate towards it too much.
It's like me with jazz and blues.
Yeah.
There's very little jazz I can deal with. I found that the more horns you have in the jazz, the more likely it is that I'm going to want to listen to it. Especially if it has a groove. Now the jazz that's a softer version of math rock, I can't deal with.
Well, I mean, math rock is just all over the place.
I can't deal with math rock either.
Yeah, I know.
But But the when jazz has a groove, I love it. And blues. That's a genre I wouldn't mind hearing, come back a little bit. I mean, the dirty rock kind of brought it back a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much you can do with it.
Yeah, true.
That's because it's so stripped down, and I feel like that's kind of why it's not part of why it's not relevant as much as it used to be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Doors, that's what they started with.
Right.
Like, they sat there, they just sped it, they just took blues riffs and sped them up and said, here's rock. We present to you rock and roll.
But this sounds familiar. No, it doesn't. Don't worry about it.
I mean, I think the worst, I think the worst injustice to music was Elvis Presley. With like some of the songs he actually stole from black artists.
Yeah.
Like the song You Ain't Nothing But a Hound Dog. I forget who originally sung it, but
A lot of his stuff actually isn't written by him either.
yeah. Let me.
Funnily enough, like we all think of Elvis as like this big, successful, like amazing.
Well, he was the
more of a
first.
performer.
He was the first quote unquote rocker or rock act. But yeah,
Yeah, it's if you actually dive into it, a lot of it's not written by him, a lot of it's ghostwritten or it's stolen.
yeah,
Like, because he took what was considered rock and roll, and at the time, it was the first, like, actually mainstream, I think, white guy to do it. Because rock and roll stems from
it stems from jazz, not jazz, blues.
right, which is
Mm-hmm.
predominantly it's usually
African American.
African Americans that populate that genre. And a lot of that also came from workers in slave times.
Mm-hmm.
Which
Yeah. Well, actually, it started by it kind of started there, and then
because they had all the songs they would sing and do the beats to when they were working in the fields and whatever. That's where that stemmed from, which is where you can trace rock and roll and jazz from and blues. So when it evolved, we eventually got to the 60s with rock and roll, and Elvis happened. So and then it took off from there. So
yeah, the song "You Ain't Nothing But a Hound Dog" was originally done by Big Mama Thornton, which actually the lyrics make more sense than
Tell me.
being sung by a woman.
then coming from a guy.
Yes, and that was in 1966. She recorded it, but yeah, it wound up being recorded, but all. It's weird. Anyway, so where was it?
Where was it? I don't know.
It exists.
But
Does
do
he?
you?
No.
Mm.
Anyway,
Oh yeah. So blues really came about from juke joints, where guys would mainly predominantly African Americans would meet up pretty much like clubs,
Mm-hmm.
and they would play. And one of like the most influential players of blues was Robert Johnson, a member of I believe it's called the 28 Club or 27 Club.
Mm-hmm.
You know, list of artists that passed away. He was poisoned.
Oh.
Yeah. There's also a theory. This is going to be shocking, but
Tinfoil hats.
one of the most influential people in blues, which preceded rock, which preceded metal, was accused of selling his soul to the devil.
Oh.
Huh.
What helped this theory along was he got booed out of a lot of juke joints, and came back 2 years later being able to play the guitar like no one's ever heard before.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
You've brought them up before.
And he also would play. He would actually practice playing guitar in cemeteries. And when asked about it, he said the guitarists of the past are teaching him new techniques, or teaching him how to play better. So he's an oddball, but it helped the theory along about him being, you know, him selling his soul to the devil. Let alone he did have a song where he mentions hellhounds being on his trail. So, and a lot of people with one of the songs he recorded, they believe he was about him selling his soul to the devil. It's called I Went Down to the Crossroads. And yeah. And who is it? Cream has a phenomenal cover of that song.
Yeah.
Yes. I'll put it on after the pod.
I believe that wraps up Intermittent. If no one has anything else.
That was intermittent?
That was Intermittent.
Dude, I got lost. I'm sorry.
That was a tangent we went on.
I legit was... I was in another world. I apologize.
Which then leads us into things that have already come out as of November 26th, and a couple mentions that we're going to probably talk about.
All right.
I don't know what I'm going to bring up.
All right, I'll start with mine because mine's incredibly long. On the 26th, Remedy dropped Remedy Meets the Wu-Tang. And on the 27th, 88 Glam dropped Close to Heaven, Far from God. And
That's it?
according to Hip Hop DX, I really couldn't find anything on Apple as far as hip hop was concerned. Most of the stuff they have listed dropped last week. So,
Alrighty then. Bruce, what you got?
Oh, alright, I'll go first.
I have a long one.
I had to find a different list because the one I have normally had nothing on it.
Ah.
So,
sounds like my
this
life.
is going to be a little all over the place now. But Alan Walker's dropped World of Walker. Amalou has dropped At Least We Have This EP. Black Label Society has dropped Doom Crew Inc.
That's on my list too, and I might go through that.
Bones and Lyson has dropped Scraps. Cynic has dropped Ascension Codes. Daedalus and Joshua Idahan has dropped Holy Water Over Suns. Grace Davies has dropped I Wonder If You Wonder.
I really don't wonder.
Do you wonder?
I wonder about a lot of things.
Well, Hypocrisy has dropped Worship.
That's on here too.
Goddamn.
Imminence has
hypocrisy
dropped
worship.
Heaven in Hiding. Histocracy has dropped Gwen Stacy Forever. You guys are going to love this
What?
next one. Kids Bop Kids has dropped Kids Bop All I Want for Christmas Is You.
Okay.
I think I might be
I'm
giving you guys
still-
that one.
I'm still stuck on.
Please
No,
don't.
you're not.
We will make you find something else.
Yes.
Kill
I'm still stuck
Zero
on-
has dropped Eclipse. R.A.P. Ferreira has dropped the Light Emitting Diamond Cutter Scriptures.
That's a mouthful.
Mm-hmm. Rhapsody of Fire has dropped Glory for Salvation.
Alright, well, that's 3 on my list.
Samad Savage has dropped Duo Liddy.
Okay.
Joy Ave has dropped God is Great Paper Straight. We Are the Catalyst has dropped Perseverance. Westlife has dropped Wild Dreams, and Zebrahead has dropped 3 EP.
Oh, I may go through that.
So I'm still stuck on the idea of a hypocritic battleship
Worship.
worship. So is it like, since it's a hypocrite, is it a plane or a submarine?
No, in the sense of worshipping a god.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
worship, not warship.
Worship. Okay,
Not
my
warship.
bad. My bad.
I see where confusion came from.
I have 2 on here that I'm gonna need your help with, Bruce.
Okay.
Okay.
So as of the 26th of November, Apsu dropped a self-titled record. I know who that is, so I may check that. Archgoat came out with Worship the Eternal Darkness.
Worship the eternal God.
We have Black Label Societies on here. Corrosion of Conformity with Sleeping Martyr 2000 and 2005. Cynic dropped Ascension Codes. Deep Purple dropped Turning to Crime. Here's one of them that I need your help with. Go ahead, right under Deep Purple.
Fleischer has dropped Nolkenhauer.
I swear
we
his
have-
German's getting better.
We have Helmet with Live and Rare. I have Hypocrisy on here. We have Imperial Triumphant with An Evening with Imperial Triumphant. And then In Flames with a re-release of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 different records. Because it's a 40-year anniversary. They re-release everything pretty much.
Damn.
Including a live record. And then Insane also dropped the re-release of Wait and Pray. Lee Aaron came out with Almost Christmas. Lock Up came out with The Dregs of Hades. Lordy with Lordiversity.
Lordiversity?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Lordiversity.
Interesting.
Megadeth dropped A Night in Buenos Aires.
I'm gonna check that out.
And then here's the next one. Under Megadeth.
Right underneath of Megadeth. Where's Megadeth?
Buenos Aires.
Nagura Bunjay has dropped Zao.
'Kay.
Not sure what one that.
Yeah, I probably would
Not
have said
sure
the
what
same thing.
language that one is.
Yeah.
All of them mixed together.
We have The Ocean that dropped Phanerozoic live. Opera Diabolicus with Death of a Pale Horse.
I love it.
Paul Gilbert and the Players Club with Twas.
'Twas the night before Christmas.
Resolve came out with Between Me and the Machines. Rhapsody of Fire is on here. Smith and Kotzen with Better Days EP. Vardis came out with Guaranteed No Overdubs. 100 Mile an Hour at 100 Club. That's what it's called. Sun O came with a live record, I think. Victory came out with Gods of Tomorrow. And Waltari came out with Third Decade, the Anniversary Edition. And that is my list.
All right.
A lot of re-releases on here.
Lot of re-releases.
At least 11.
At least.
So, I actually plan on giving you guys 2 EPs this week. Frankie Wall's Why Not Me EP and Ingdara's Ingdara Pananoto Himalaya EP. So those are the 2 EPs I plan on giving you this week.
Gotcha.
Lyrically amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's good.
So,
I believe that is going to wrap up episode 60 of the Music Shack podcast.
Indeed it will.
I guess you guys don't know what you're,
Not at all.
Not yet. I'll figure it out.
Probably going to be Glory for Salvation by Rhapsody of Fire. That one looks like it's going to be good.
I got a couple to go through, so. But yeah, that's gonna wrap up episode 60. Thank you guys for joining every week. If you're new, I hope you liked it, and please go check out the rest of what we have on any major platform you listen to podcasts on, except for Pandora, or you can go right to the source on YouTube, which is youtube.com/Music Shack Podcast. Yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in, and if you want to keep up to date on Twitter when things drop, follow us at Music Shack Pod. And yeah, enjoy the noise.
Here, as always, player, one love, mosh and rave responsibly, please.
Have fun, don't die.